Welcome to the FemiNinja Project, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the FemiNinja Show. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja. Today I want to share with you a super sneaky ninja secret that changed my life forever in a really good way, and it can change yours as well. It was one of the first things that I learned as a brand new martial arts student in my training. And quite simply, it was just to get out of the way of an attack. And I was really, really good at it, because anytime one of the men would try and attack me, I would throw my gi top over my head and run screaming in terror off of the mat and hide in the ladies' dressing room. I could hear my partner from a distance from the other room yelling, "Hey, get back here. I haven't attacked you yet," which was exactly what I needed to know to stay in the ladies' dressing room for the rest of the duration of the class. I knew that no matter how big and brave these guys were, nobody would have the courage to go ahead and follow me into the ladies' dressing room. But think about it. If you're not in the way, you can't get hurt. I know I took it to the extreme with my screaming and running and hiding, but I got out of the way. And when the men would complain to my sensei, my teacher, that I was cheating because I wouldn't let them attack me, he just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Well, she got out of the way, didn't she? And that's the entire point." We like to call this little technique, make like a ninja and disappear. It's just simply evade, get out of the way, and disappear. And eventually I stopped running away. And I learned how to easily and effortlessly, and dare I say, even gracefully, get out of the way when my partner tried to attack me. So no matter what the attack or the strike was, a punch, a kick, or a grab, I was able to just step aside and disappear. Figuratively, not literally. But the best part was watching to see what would happen, because my attacker would just fly right past me and would have resulted in a series of some pretty serious bodily harm to himself by either falling into the floor, into the brick wall, or whatever. It would give me, in a real life situation, the time and the opportunity to run away. But it was magic. It was absolutely beautiful to see how that negative energy would avoid me and turn back into my opponent. And that's when I had an epiphany, kind of like one of those mental head-smacking moments, when I realized, I didn't have to run away. I didn't have to hide, nor did I have to stand there and take it. And neither do you. When I realized that, it was a great moment in my life. I felt pretty sassy and downright proud of myself, and I even started to feel a little bit like a world-class badass, because I knew something that not only was going to help me in the dojo and in my training, but something that I could take out and apply to real life, because I realized that what I had now was a powerful life skill. Life is full of hits, and we all know that, both literally and figuratively. And our brains are wired for 3 general typical responses based on our sympathetic nervous system. The fight or flight, freeze or bite. So the 3 basic reactions that we have is, number 1, to freeze, like a deer in the headlights. And it's not because this isn't a judgment call. We just can't help ourselves. We're usually in a state of shock that somebody is attacking us in one way or another. And I'm not talking just about physical attacks. I'm talking about verbal, mental, emotional, psychological attacks. Attacks come in a variety of different forms, as we all know that too. So the other strategy would be to fight back. And, that's a strategy I think is really good, especially if you're cornered and you don't have an option. Because if you fight back, you've got about a 50% chance of being successful and becoming the victor. So the third way then is, of course, just get out of the way. Even as simple as me running with my gi top over my head, I did get out of the way. So when you're not there, you can't get hurt. So think about how this can be applied to any confrontation or conflict that you might have in your own personal life. Whether it's with a coworker, a colleague, a client, even a friend or a family member, although I'm sure that's never happened to any one of us. But if you can change your reaction when somebody is, quote unquote, attacking you, you can't get hurt. So all of the negative energy that would be directed toward you now goes into your opponent, and they beat themselves up. And it is a beautiful thing to watch and to witness. Because another thing I wanted to talk about is you can train your reactions. So especially if it's somebody who knows you and you might have had conflict with them before, they know your patterns, they know your habits, and they know how you're going to respond. So when you react in a different way, it completely befuddles them. It confuses them, and because you haven't danced. They played the music and you haven't danced. You're giving them a different reaction and they are completely disrupted. And it gives you a chance, again, to walk away and just to move on with your life. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how you might be able to develop a skill like this. But first of all, I wanted to let you know that out of all the belts that I have earned in my training, the one that I am the most proud of is my white belt. And I really didn't even earn it. All you have to do to get a white belt is to write a check and sign the release form. But the white belt represents that you have the courage to take those first steps of a new way of thinking, a new way of moving, and a new way of looking at life that is different than what you had before. So here I am handing you your white belt, and I'm going to challenge you to start practicing with some of your girlfriends. Challenging situations, not physical attacks, I'm not saying that, but practice. Maybe if you are having an issue with a colleague or a coworker, have your girlfriend play the role of that person, and you practice different ways that you can respond, and then switch and help each other and encourage each other. You might even get a group of women together. You can host a ladies' ninja night at somebody's house and just start to role play and start to get an idea of how many different ways you can respond to different attacks. Again, we're just talking about the verbal attacks, maybe the emotional attacks. And the other thing that's really important to remember is that you have to recognize when a hit is coming so you can get out of the way. And that's really important too. None of us can be 100% on all the time. And I like to think that I do have a really good awareness. I also have really good intuition, but every now and again, I kind of miss that little get out of the way. A few years ago, I was with a person I'm very close to, and the warning signs were there. Things were getting a little bit out of control, but I didn't recognize it, and I ended up getting a glass of wine thrown in my face. So don't get wine in your face. But go ahead and play with some of these ideas, have fun with it, and I'm going to share another little secret with you next week on how to work on your awareness and your intuition so that you don't end up with wine in your face. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful week and stay safe out there. Bye now. And that's a wrap on another episode of the FemiNinja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.